Listen to the vibes.
Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Vibes. And I'd like to welcome here Crystal Cassidy, who is the CEO and founder of SoulPod, which is an app, I understand. Well,
hmm
before we get started, tell us a little bit more about you.
Yeah, founder CEO of SoulPod. And my long story short is I've worked in biotech for most of my life. I have a degree in biochemistry. So I have the science side. I've been a meditator since I was 12 by the way of martial arts, which I studied and taught and traveled internationally for 15 years. Um, didn't realize it at 12 years old, what a gift I had been given with meditation, which evolved as I got older, and I realized that it goes so much deeper than stress management and anxiety reduction, and you start to enter mystical states, and that really got my attention as I got into my 20s. And I have an insatiable curiosity about that link between science and spirituality. And as I got older, my practice got deeper and deeper. I had a Kundalini awakening experience, which I didn't know what that was at the time. And that caused me to go on a journey into understanding it. And once I kind of found some space in my life, I decided I wanted to build an app that would help people on the spiritual journey, something I wish I had had at the beginning. And that goes beyond mindfulness. It's for people who love the woo woo. We also do a lot of science grounding in it as well, but it's a personalized path rather than all these thousands of practices. We pair people with a monthly journey that might be most powerful for where they're at in their spiritual development and pair you into pods, so small groups that can travel together. Because that was one thing I found is that it was lonely on the spiritual journey. So I would love to help connect people who are on this path.
I've told this story 100 times, but I suffered from depression, PTSD, anxiety. I mean, you name it. I had that mental problem, and all doctors want to do is throw medicine at you. I've
Oh yeah.
gone to the psychiatrists and things like that, and they're wonderful to talk to, but until I got into meditation, I never could really control it. And
Mm,
now, and I have to stress this, I'm not a doctor, so consult with your physician
neither
before
am
you do
I.
anything. I
Yeah.
weaned myself off all those medicines, and if I'm about to go into a stressful situation, take for example, we made a trip to New York. I'm getting on a subway. Now, that's pretty stressful when you're in a confined space with all these people and all this noise going on. I meditated before I got on, and I was fine. I
Mm,
cannot stress how much meditation's helped my life.
mm, beautiful. How did you first get into it?
Oh, well, I was telling you, I used to do a paranormal show all the time.
hmm
And there was a lady who probably seen her on Ancient Aliens, if you've ever watched that show.
I do watch that show.
I can't think of her name at the moment, but anyway, I talked to her and she was telling me about it. And she said that it would help me. And I thought, why not? And
Mm,
had a lot of people come on that teach meditation and talk a lot about it. And once it took off, I could not believe how much my life changed.
yeah, it's a game changer for sure. And once you get, it takes some time to get past that initial resistance that the mind and the body may have to meditation because it's just like going to the gym. If you jump right in, you're not going to be able to lift that massive barbell the first day. And so I always tell people at the beginning of the journey, it takes some time to build that meditative muscle, but if you stay with it, eventually the body and the mind will follow you and you'll start to feel these releases of resistance, which is, I mean, once you feel that, it's very hard to stop the journey from there.
What type of martial arts did you teach?
Goju-ryu, hard soft style, Okinawan based.
Mm.
Um, yeah, it's a lesser known. There's probably some people out there that might know it, but it's a lesser known style, but really great for people like me who are kind of compact and short. Um, it's a nice combination of karate, however you want to say it, and some influences of kung fu as well.
And then you started this app. What made you actually do that? I know a lot of people
Mm,
they talk about, oh, one day I'd like to write a book or create an app or whatever. What motivated you to actually do it?
mm, great question. I had been feeling a pull to do something new, and then everything in my life started to shift to clear space to create something. And I started to notice that. I also got severely ill in 2020 and had a near-death experience, which will
Mm.
certainly shake things up as far as priorities. And I think it was after that period that it became very clear to me. It sounds so cliche, but it's so true. We have only a certain amount of time. We don't know how much time that is on this planet in this incarnation. So I decided, why not? I'd really like to do something that would hopefully help people during this time that humanity is in to evolve their consciousness. And so it's just been a passion for me and has fueled the work up until now.
What all is a part of the app and how does it work?
Yeah, so SoulPod, as opposed to maybe Calm or Headspace, which I also love, they're great resources. They're a great introduction to meditation, but I wanted something that could take people a bit deeper. And so SoulPod is really about going deeper. And we also wanted it to be personalized. So we take you through a series of questions about where you're at in your spiritual development. And so once you get through that, you'll be paired with a journey. A journey could be something like support, which we have a supported journey, which is all about building that really strong foundation and helping you develop that muscle of presence. And then we have a journey, for example, that's about expression. So if you're really working, and this also can tie to energy centers, unlike your throat chakra, uh, that journey might be one you end up get paired with. And then we pair you with a small group of people who are also doing these rituals on a daily basis. You get contemplation, mantra, space to also expand in your own self-guided way, which I think is a really important muscle to also develop along with the guidance. And so each practice on a daily basis is about 15, 20 minutes. So they're a little bit longer. They're not 5 minutes. And we also help ease you into the meditative state through breath work. So each journey has a very specific type of breath work to help you unlock that theme.
So you actually get an explanation of everything instead of just thrown into it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's each day builds on the day before it. So it's very intentional. It's guiding you into elevated states of being and then helping you sustain those elevated states of being.
One of the parts of my spiritual journey is I want to better control my anger.
Mhm.
So if I wanted to do that, how would I be able to?
That would be at one point before you get into your journey, we have an opportunity to set your intention. And so I think that's a really powerful moment to connect with what do you want to focus on in the journey specific to you. And so in your case, that could be understanding your relationship with anger more deeply. And that we keep kind of forefront throughout the journey as well. And I have an idea of maybe which journey you would get paired with, but anger can be such a powerful emotion. And I think one thing we talk a lot about in the journeys is learning to not be afraid of our emotions, to view them as information and not like a failure, especially if you're feeling shame or guilt or fear, or judgment or resentment or anger, to help us develop, and this is consistent in all of our journeys, to help us develop a healthier relationship with emotion and to learn to become aware of it. And so, one of the first things with emotions that I talk about a lot is, and sometimes people will come to me and ask, how do I transmute this emotion? How do I get rid of resentment? And I tell them you already are, because you have an awareness on some level of what you're experiencing, which is the first step and such a powerful step. A lot of us have not developed that muscle of awareness, which meditation helps you do, to understand how we're actually feeling. So if you have an awareness that you're feeling resentful or anger, you're already on the path to understanding and working with that energy, instead of us pushing it down into our bodies and not letting it move. So we definitely work with emotions. Yeah.
So you can help with depression and all that.
Yeah. It's really the individual's journey, but we certainly provide a spiritual perspective around the emotional experience. And I'm a big fan, I think it's probably because of my science background, of viewing it as information, energy in motion. What can I learn from my depression? What does my depression want me to know that maybe I haven't heard yet? And it's all informative. It's all very, very useful.
What's the most unusual thing somebody wanted help with?
Mm. Ooh, good question. Hmm. Unusual? Depends on who you're talking to, but connecting with their ET family could be considered unusual. Um, how to better connect with guidance and unseen realms. I would say that's more on the mystical side of things. Something I'm also curious about and explore as well. But yeah, I would say that's probably up there.
Do you have suggestions on things like crystals and whatnot?
Mm. I love working with crystals. I think they can be supplemental tools to your journey. I'm certainly not an expert on, even though my name is Crystal, I'm not really an expert on them, but I do have quite the collection. Um, and I think kind of like psychedelics, actually, I think crystals and psychedelics are both tools of this planet. And when I think they also come into your space when they're ready to work with you. Um, I'll give you an example. I did a psychedelic journey once, and somebody handed me a rose quartz crystal right before the journey.
Mhm.
And it was an incredible experience. I could feel the energy of the crystal. It was then that I knew that they're not just rocks, that they actually hold a very specific energy, and they can help us move energy and understand our energy, just kind of like psychedelics do. It just might not be as psychedelic, but it's certainly very energetic, and they very much have a purpose.
Well, there's scientific proof of vibrations and
Hmm.
frequencies that come from these rocks. It's not just, oh, this is a foo-foo thing, hippy dippy. There's scientific proof behind it.
Oh yeah, that's what we run our electronics with crystals. There's the piezoelectric effect. So as they get compressed, they create energy. And if you really want to connect it with consciousness, the pineal gland has these crystals in it. And we think that when the pineal gland gets activated, these crystals get compressed and it creates more of a field. And that could be what we feel in our minds when we have an awakening or a mystical experience. So it's certainly all connected.
Someone's curious about this. Is there something that you don't deal with in this kind of realm?
Don't deal with. Um, I'm very much an open book when it comes to the spiritual journey.
Mhm.
I don't necessarily host or guide psychedelic experiences, even though I think they're very powerful. My focus is really on helping people enter into levels of consciousness that are very psychedelic, but without substances. Um, so I like both as tools. I think psychedelics can be like a door opener. They can show you what's possible, but you can also do that in your meditative practice.
I want to assure anyone out there that if you know absolutely nothing about this, but you're curious, you start out at the beginning so help them
Yep.
along the way and they don't have to, be the a ninth level whatever to be
Black
able to
belt.
understand. Right.
Yeah, yeah. I like to break it down, use some science. Um, understand that there's a reason why all the yogis have talked about breath as being your entry point into consciousness. And so I do believe that breath work can be a really powerful way to help you get into your body with meditation. And then, there is no right way. Everybody's experience on the spiritual journey is going to be unique. And so I think the only kind of element that you need at the beginning is a curiosity and a little bit of courage. Because as you start to open those doors to different levels of consciousness, you're entering the unknown and it's going to show up in ways you don't expect. And so a little dose of courage at the very beginning can be very helpful.
And you can also help those who actually teach others.
Yeah, absolutely. We're starting to build out some really great, exciting partnerships with other guides in SoulPod, and that's more like a 2025 thing, but we're really excited for what's to come as well.
Where can people get it? Like in their app store or is there a website?
Yeah, right now we're on iOS. I'm sorry, Android users, we will get there. I promise you. But iOS for now. And you can find us at www.soulpodapp.com. And you can find us on Instagram, YouTube as well, and in the Apple Store.
I will put those links in the description just to make it easier for folks to find you. Crystal, thank you so much for coming on here. This
Oh, my
is,
pleasure, Kyle.
I might have to check that out myself. Now, is there a fee with this?
We have a free 7-day trial. So you can
Mhm.
give it a try, get into a journey, meet your pod. And you can also build your own pod. Forgot to mention that. So if you have a group of people that you're spiritually close to and exploring with, you can build a pod of those people. And then we have ethical pricing tiers. So choose whatever monthly tier you can afford. And we also have a yearly subscription as well.
Again, thank you. And I also want to thank all you folks out there. If you are new to the channel, I hope you'll come back. Please hit that subscribe button for my regulars. You guys are awesome because you make it possible for me to do this. Till the next one,
Mm.
everyone, please take care. Be kind to one another. God bless and peace.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of Listen to the Vibes. You can catch us on Buzzsprout or wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts, and on YouTube. Follow us on Facebook at The Vibes Broadcast Network